our Sunday evening again. This is Craig Levitt. Welcome to the show. I must begin by excusing Leanne. She's not here again this week, and she had some responsibilities, and our daughter, Cheyenne, had some responsibilities, so I am without them tonight, but I do have my promotional director, Chris Finnegan, with us. Chris just moved back to Nevada from San Francisco, and we're glad to have you with us, Chris.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We did this back in Cedar City 2 years ago, and we've done it here a couple of times. But Christopher, when I first had him on, somebody said, now that guy has a radio voice. And they keep saying, Craig, you don't have a radio voice, but all your guests do. Anyway, Christopher, it's good to have you with us tonight. And, of course, we have Denise back in the booth, making sure that everything works properly and runs well, and that everything, hopefully goes as planned. And she's got a pretty smile, and she's eclectically talented, and she keeps us on the air. So thank you. Glad to have you with us, Denise. And again, Christopher, we had a lot of fun this week. Christopher and I went and visited some of our old friends, and we went to the Boulevard Mall there on Maryland Parkway to see our old friend Percy Wood, or P-Dub, as he has affectionately come to be known on our show. This was the first time Christopher had ever had a chance to meet P-Dub, and of course his real name is Percy Woods, and then Vernon, who's the cook there, and Imam, who actually served and made this food, put it all together for us. These are wonderful people at P-Dub's BBQ and Soul Food Cafe right there in the food court. That was something, wasn't it, Christopher?
That was certainly an experience.
I got to tell you, I warned Christopher. I said, now, Christopher, when you meet P-Dub, you better be holding on to everything you got, because that guy is so full of electricity that and power, he'll just lift you right off the ground, and he really is.
He is.
The whole P-Dub is really something, and I want to spend just a minute. I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force. P-Dub is a veteran of the United States Army, and Vernon is Army, and so whenever we get together, of course, we talk about veterans and veteran issues, and I want to welcome all of those to the show tonight, our listening audience who are new veterans. We've got Dick Marshall and his family up in Montana that are tuned in tonight to hear us, and Harvey Lake and his family who are tuned in to hear us. These are veterans, and everywhere we go, we find veterans who are happy that we make a big deal out of what they do. I will always make a big deal out of the service that P-Dub gave his country. He's a disabled veteran because of his heroism. I've told you all for weeks now that this man, Percy Woods, has my complete and total admiration. He has my total respect, because not only did he put his life on the line for us and for the quality of life that we enjoy, he also put his life on the line so that others of his comrades could make it home in safety and return to their families. And I'm proud to know P-Dub, who, like I say, is a recipient of the Bronze Star for heroism. And besides that, the guy's a crack up. I mean, I know that we've got people back in Indiana and people all over the country listening tonight who know P-Dub, but this guy, I could be around him. Well, Christopher, we were around him for 2 hours, and he never took a breath. He was just going the whole time. It was such a neat thing, and it's easy to just kind of be around him because he's a lot of fun.
He is a lot of fun. He's probably the closest comparison to you as far as fun I've ever run across.
Yeah, and basically I'm running without a back burner. So now we're just really happy to be friends with P-Dub. Now I want to tell you something about P-Dub. He got me a couple of weeks ago, and he says, "Now, Craig, I love having you talk about me, but you never tell anybody what it is I actually do." And I say, "Yes, I tell them that you serve barbecue ribs." And I want to tell you, these barbecue ribs are outstanding. And you also serve soul food. He said, "Yeah, but you didn't tell him what I'm doing." And so I thought tonight, maybe Christopher and I could tell you all about our friend P-Dub. Years ago, I met a fellow that was world famous for his chicken, and it was called Kentucky Fried Chicken, and it was Colonel Sanders. I was so excited when I met Colonel Sanders, I almost started to lick his fingers, but he was incredible, and you all know his story, how he started out with all he had was a little Social Security check that he'd gotten and just a little car, and he had a recipe for fried chicken. And that's all he had. And so he set out to try to make his fortune with his fried chicken recipe, right?
Yep, that's exactly right.
He went from cafe to cafe, diner to diner, restaurant to restaurant, fast food chain to fast food chain all over the country. And his deal was very, very simple. What he said was, "I'll tell you what, try my recipe. And if it increases your sales of fried chicken, then I just want a portion of that." And everybody told him no. No, thanks. No, don't want to take the risk. No, we're happy with what we have. Well, he drove all over the country, and he got to Salt Lake City, Utah. Never gave up. I mean, if I try like 6 people and everybody tells me no, I say, well, okay, then I guess if I were a political pollster, it would be 100% of the country would tell me no. So he knocked on the door of a small cafe on the corner of 39th South and State Street in Salt Lake City, Utah. And it was called Harmon's Cafe. And he went in there, and the owner happened to be in. So he talked to Mr. Harmon, and he said, I got this idea. I'd like for you to just try. And Mr. Harmon said, well, what's your idea? And he said, I have a recipe for fried chicken that's better than anything you've ever tasted. I don't want any money for it, except if you use my recipe and it increases your fried chicken sales, then I would like a royalty paid from that, and that's all. He had been told no more than 1,000 times, but he didn't take no for an answer, and he wound up giving the same spiel, the same opportunity to Mr. Harmon on 39 South and State Street in Salt Lake City, Utah. This guy said, well, we're approaching lunch. Let's try it. And so the colonel went back into the kitchen and whipped up his 11 spices and all the stuff that he uses to make his fried chicken, and he put it together, and they served it for lunch that day. And they sold out. That was the first Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise in the world. And from 39th South and State Street in Salt Lake City, Utah, Kentucky Fried Chicken spread and is now worldwide. And, of course, Colonel Sanders, when he passed away, was a multi-gazillionaire, and Mr. Harmon, who owned the franchise rights, you know, he could afford to go to a movie and see a double feature as well. So it was a great opportunity. Well, when I talked to P-Dub, see how I made the whole circle, Christopher? I started talking about P-Dub, then I threw in Colonel Sanders, you see, and as a bridge, and now I'm back to P-Dub.
Yep, quite the segue there.
Yeah, that's skillful, media. Anyway, we went back to P-Dub, and he said, you haven't told the people what I want to do. And I said, well, P-Dub, what do you want to do? And he said, I want to have, now get this, folks, guy's a disabled veteran, nothing wrong with that. But he gets a check every month. He's got all of his bills paid for. He could very easily just sit at home and idle away the day. But he says, what I want to do is I want to have a P-Dubs barbecue rib and soul food outlet in every mall in the United States. And I looked at this little guy and I said, really? And he said, yeah, and I've got the paperwork right here. So we got into his valise. And you remember, Christopher, he pulled out this contract. Anybody that wanted to buy a franchise in a mall. And that was pretty cool.
That was very cool, especially when he told us that it was developed by the same people that were behind McDonald's.
Yeah. And I didn't know if it was the clown. No, he said, but he showed me this, and he says, Craig, I want to have a P-Dub in every mall in America for the veterans so that they can identify with something that's very, very successful. And I said, wow. I have such a limited vocabulary. And so when I get something that amazes me, I say, wow. Well, I was pretty impressed with that. And so I asked him a couple of questions, and he took off telling me all about his franchising concept for about a half hour, wasn't it? Yep. And then he took us back to P-Dubs and fed us lunch again. And he makes his own barbecue sauce, folks, and I got to tell you, holy mackerel. He put that on some ribs for me, and if you haven't gone to the Boulevard Mall on Maryland Parkway and gone into the food court to see P-Dubs little restaurant, I don't know what they call them, little place to eat, you're really missing a treat because this guy really knows how to put it together. So while we're eating, and I want to tell you, he's so generous and he's so friendly. He said, I got something else. I said, you've got something else? Christopher, are we even allowed to talk about this new thing of his?
I don't know.
Oh, well, it's my show. I can if I want. But anyway, he had talked to me about this incredible franchising idea, and we thought that was pretty cool. And then he started to hustle me to see if I wanted to buy a franchise. And I said, P-Dub, I couldn't cook this. And he says, oh, no, we'll put you in classes and we'll teach you how to do everything just like they do at McDonald's or any place else. You all use the same menu, the same recipes. And he was going on, and we chatted a little bit more, and he said, I got something else that I think is really cool. Now, if you go over to the Boulevard Mall, there on the Parkway, and you walk in from the Parkway side, you see Sears and Penny's and all these places, including the Iceberg Diamond store, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But if you go back into the back part, it has been almost vacant. A couple of little businesses have been back there, but now the mall is filling that up. And there's right down there in the corner a beautiful spot. And he took me back there, and he says, now this doesn't look like much now, but in 2 weeks, he said, we're going to have a sandwich shop here. Sandwiches, little desserts, drinks, a few things like that. It's going to be the only food establishment on that side of the mall. It's pretty brilliant. This guy, he's a visionary. I mean, he is a very capable entrepreneur. And he said, now, guess what I'm going to call it? And I said, you're going to call it P-Dubs. And he said, no, that's my soul food and barbecue rib place. This is going to be something different. It's just sandwiches and it's just drinks. And little desserts, little cakes and cookies to go with your sandwiches. And I said, all right, I'll bite. What are you going to call it? And he said, it's going to be called, are you ready for this, folks? Because this is something really cool. He said, Dubway. And the name of the place is going to be Dubway Sandwiches. And I got to tell you, when I first heard him say it, he said, Dubway. I said, you're going to put a Subway? He said, no. He laughs at me because I guess he thinks all white people can't hear it. But anyway, he said, no, not Subway, Dubway. And I said, that's brilliant. That's incredible. You're going to have a Dubway. Well, you saw the store.
It was actually pretty impressive, even in its infancy.
Even if it's going to look nice. And so I said, well, I do a lot of advertising for you. I should have half. And he told me that my half was out in the parking lot. So anyway, this next week, 2 weeks, P-Dub is going to open up another franchisable business called Dubway Sandwiches. And I got to tell you, this guy is incredible. And he had such enthusiasm. His enthusiasm was not that it's going to be and maybe it will be successful. It was like it had already happened and it was taking over the world, and he was going to be in every mall right next to his P-Dub barbecue, ribs, and soul food outlet. I thought that was so cool. Folks, you got to meet this guy. He has a mind that, I guess it's like George Bernard Shaw said. He said, some people see things as they are and they ask why. I dream of things that have never been and ask, why not? And so I've been thinking about that statement, and he's putting it to practice about Dubway barbecue, P-Dub's barbecue. He's got so much barbecue chicken and soul food, and then Dubway sandwiches. And I'm thinking, this man is absolutely tireless. And he says, why do I want to sit home? I want to have my stores in every mall across the country. I got to tell you something, folks. He's got something here that could be in every mall across the country.
It could be, and it probably will be, actually.
I know this guy. He will make it happen. So we were filming a little video for a website that Christopher is doing for P-Dub and Dubway. And we just had so much fun talking to him. And P-Dub, I'm going to give you a second to rest because I know you're listening. He has given up Sunday night football. He's given up everything. He has his whole family gathered around the radio like in the old days when they would listen to FDR's fireside chats on the old Philco. And so I know he's listening. We're going to talk about you in a minute again, if that's okay, Percy, because you're absolutely incredible. Christopher and I were also filming a video for a website for another one of our friends in the Boulevard Mall there on Parkway, on Maryland Parkway. And this is the Iceberg Diamonds. We had fun there, didn't we, Christopher?
We did. They're a great store.
Andy and Ali and Dee and everybody there, they're so friendly. And they've got a beautiful store. You walk in. I mean, the trappings are so artistically framed in the windows that it draws people in, doesn't it? I mean, while we were there, how many people came in? Two or three, or
probably half a dozen. It was pretty popular.
It was, and they just walked in. And we were trying to film, and we couldn't, of course, because there was so much commotion going on. And it was really cool. So, being me, I went up to one of the patrons and I said, hey, what is it that brought you in here today? Do you remember what she said?
She said that it was the diamonds.
The window display.
It was very impressive.
And the way that they had done it's a small store, but as soon as you walk in to the mall, it's just right there on your right. And you go in there and they have the most incredible selection of diamonds and watches and necklaces and other kinds of jewelry. Absolutely lovely. And there was another lady that walked in, and she was just, the place is set up so beautifully. I mean, these folks have done a great job in just setting up their store so that it's attractive and it makes people want to walk in. And so as we were shooting the video, I told Andy Quadri, who's the owner, I said, years ago, I used to be a Gemological Institute of America certified jeweler. And he said, really? And I said, yes. In other words, I'm a diamond expert. And he said, really? And I said, yes. And he said, well, this might be interesting then. Andy told me that every diamond in his store carries the GIA paper or the EGL, which is the equivalent of the European Gemological Laboratories, which is also good paper. But the stores, the stones that he sells, the most of have Gemological Institute of America paper. Now, folks, I don't know if you know much about buying diamonds, but diamonds are classified by their cut and their clarity and their color. And if you've got somebody that doesn't understand color, diamond color, or diamond clarity, or the cut, they might say this is a $6,000 stone, but it might only be a $600 stone when it's put in the hands of the Geological Institute of America. And so Andy was really, really proud of the fact that, yes, that paper costs a little bit more, but when you got a diamond that is certified by GIA, well, you know that you have a valid piece of paper in your hands, and that the diamond that you're getting is that diamond with the right cut, color, and clarity. And I was really impressed with that. A lot of the jewelry stores in Las Vegas actually don't have that kind of paper. They have their own gemologists who will assess and classify their own stones. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, you go into Iceberg Diamonds, and what are you going to see? Stones that carry the world's most powerful and most widely accepted paper. So we had a lot of fun with Andy and Ali and Dee. Dee is magical salesperson of the year. She's behind that counter. She is so knowledgeable that she knows everything there is. She can answer any question. We heard her as she answered questions that were proffered by the people that came in the store.
Very knowledgeable, no question.
I think that. So we have a lot of fun, Christopher and I do. And as we go about and visit our friends, we talk about their energy. P-Dub's energy, Andy Quadri's energy. These are entrepreneurs who have a plan, and they hire people. They put people to work. They do the one thing our government can't do, and that is really create real jobs that aren't based on phony figures and projections and exhibitions. But this energy that you feel when you're in Iceberg Diamonds, I mean, it's motivating, it's powerful, and they do some interesting things. For example, here in a couple of weeks, we're going to have a diamond auction at Iceberg Diamonds. Hey, folks, it's coming up holiday time. If you want to make good with your wife, buy her diamonds. I mean, jewelry is the number one gift romantically exchanged during the holidays, and it doesn't matter what holiday it is. And then right after these holidays, we run into Valentine's Day. Got to tell you, you got to become aware. And if you listen to this station, you're going to know when the auctions are going to be held. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I don't know that I have Andy's permission, but okay, here's the deal. I'm real close to the mic now, so I can whisper, and nobody around can hear me, except all 2 million of you. But anyway. We're in this auction, you might get a $6,000 diamond for something way lower if yours is the bid price. And so that's a great way to buy jewelry. And they got watches down there that are absolutely incredible. And you can maybe have an auction, a bid on a watch. You saw the watches, Christopher.
They were to die for.
Oh, man, let me tell you what, they were just gorgeous. And so at these auctions, Chris and I will be there. I've been invited to be the auctioneer. And I don't move as fast as the guy that auctions cows and horses and pigs or anything else for that matter. I go, who will be the next bidder? Who? Anybody out there, raise your hand. Let's start. What do you want to start it at? Okay, let's start it at this. I mean, it takes me forever. Hey, after the news, we're going to come back and continue this talk. But, folks, get over to the Boulevard Mall. Visit P-Dubs, Dubway, and the Iceberg Diamonds. Hey, this is Craig Levitt. Welcome back to the second half of our show. We had some fun that first half, didn't we, Christopher?
We did.
I tell you, I get so excited when I go into a store or into a shop that a local entrepreneur has put together. I mean, it reminds me of when we had Saray here a couple of months ago, and she is the most dynamic stick of dynamite I've ever known in my life. And she's one of those people that she's going to school full time, working, harder than a railroad crew laying down track. And she's a mother, and I don't see how she does it, but she just keeps going and going and going. And people like this, I feel their power. I feel the motivation from it. And so I get carried away, perhaps, and you folks out there, it's a good thing this isn't television, because you'd see Christopher raising his hands and waving at me and putting his index finger, sliding across his throat like, hey, you're talking too much, shut up and let something else happen. And so we have radio, so you can't see any of that. And I've got poor Denise back in the control room looking at me going, what is he doing? Anyway, Christopher, we have a half here. We'd be glad to have people call in.
We sure would. Anyone else out there have a business that they are part of, or know someone who has a business and would like to mention them on the air, perhaps? Just give us a call. Area code 702-257-5396.
Yep, 702-257-KDAWN. That's so cool. There's no telephone number that goes with my name that people would remember the numbers. But not only do we have P-Dub and we have Iceberg, Andy out there, and we have Saray Splond, we also had Kyle Dellinger, from the Tudor Doctor, and we had Andy Anderson with us, and we've had some dynamic people. And I was thinking this week, what is it people really need in America today? Do they need more handouts? I mean, do they need more entitlements? Do they need more excuses not to work? Or do they need, what is it the American people need right now? And before I'm going to let Christopher help answer that, but Urban Meyer, great football coach, used to be the football coach at the University of Utah, took them to an undefeated season, and that was the year that Utah beat Alabama, number 2 team in the nation. Utah ended up, and he's now at Ohio State. But he said one time that winning is not an element of luck. And he gave the thought that luck was nothing but preparation meeting opportunity. Preparation meeting opportunity, and that was a good definition of luck. I heard this music, and I have no idea what it is. Oh, that's right. That's University of Utah. So, I asked her to play that, and I think I blew that. By the way, those of you that might have been listening to or watching television last night, the University of Utah whipped Southern Cal, the Trojans from the University of Southern Cal. Thank you, Denise. I thought, we're going to go back into news. What could I have said? Anyway, what was that? That's a university song. Oh, yeah. People, it's a good thing. Anyway, I'm surrounded by good people because I got to tell you, the more you listen to my shows, the more you will realize I'm not the brightest bulb on the tree, but I flicker every now and then, and thank goodness I have good people around me. But anyway, Urban Meyer said that luck was when preparation met opportunity. And I look at P-Dub, I look at Andy Quandary, I look at Cerise Blonde, I look at Kyle Dellinger, I look at Andy Anderson, I look at other people that we've rubbed shoulders with, and what do we find? They were prepared, and because of their preparation, they could take advantage of an opportunity. So Christopher and I, we were talking about that and got to thinking, what is it that is needed in America, not only for our veterans, folks, but for everybody? What is needed? What do we have to come up with, Christopher?
Well, first of all, we need a good, solid education. And education is what gives us the basis for all the other stuff.
Right. Preparation is so important. The biggest complaint in the job market today in America is there are millions of jobs available, and there are millions who are not prepared to take them. Now, yes, times have changed. There are jobs available now that were not even invented 10 years ago. And people are out there going, yeah, but I can't do this and I can't do that, so I guess I'll just draw unemployment or I'll just be on welfare or something else. So, Christopher, you're 100% right. What we have to do is get people prepared. Well, how do you do that? I mean, the veterans and public schools, offer some great programs, but are there those who need programs that maybe the Veterans Administration or other public programs don't offer?
The veterans themselves don't get the kind of support that they need.
That just kills me, but that's true. They had a job fair a month or so ago here in Las Vegas, and here were these guys who had been non-commissioned officers and had more stripes on their arms than a zebra has on its back, but they weren't considered qualified. I don't understand. Someone give me a drink of water. I'm going to pass out. I got to tell you, these people who led men and women into combat didn't have adequate management skills for the workplace. Okay, come on. I got a little guy named P-Dub and Dubway who's making a splash all over the world. Got to tell you, folks, I want you to chew on that. Put the sandwich down. You don't need that right now anyway. But think about this. People who have worn the uniform of our country into battle and who led troops into battle, and they were responsible for the lives of their troops, they don't have adequate management skills. Come on. While the people who are H&R people, the personnel managers, they've never served. They don't realize that the military complex is the largest corporation in the world, and its standard of management is the most rigorous of any corporation in the world. And yet these people who don't even know the 5 branches of the service say, oh, well, you haven't been to your local college and you have this is what kills me. If I pass out, Denise, play some loud music while Christopher comes over and slaps me in the face to wake me up. You don't have adequate management skills. You don't have adequate paperwork. What do you got to do? I mean, how many people who manage a department store are leading their clerks and employees under them into battle and are responsible for their lives? Folks, the only place that I know that might happen, I went to a hamburger place the other day. I'm not going to tell you the name, but it was a battle because I thought I was going to die. But the manager that saved my life, I don't know how he did it, but thank you very much so I could do the show tonight. Do you guys get the picture out there? Our military people are not qualified. So, what do we do, Chris?
We change the system. We give the veterans the opportunity that they deserve.
I was talking to a guy who I was really trying to get him to be a sponsor for our program to help the veterans, and he said to me, I can't help you. Don't they have the GI Bill for that? I said, guy, you read too much in the paper. No, they don't have a GI Bill for that. We got guys who are coming out of 20 years in the service who want a job, and they have been non-commissioned offers for 15 of those 20 years. And they're afraid to go back to school because it's been a long time since they've had to do homework like algebra and chemistry and biology and that. Because if you want to get more stripes in the military, you have to have at least a or not a bachelor's degree, but I just forgot it. Anyway, no, it's a 2-year degree. I love Denise. It's an associate's degree. I mean, they have to have that if they want to get more stripes. But a lot of these people that have been leaders haven't been back in school for a long time. And so, yes, the VA will put them in a school and into a program if they can pass the qualification exams to get into that program. So we need to have systems, programs that will help these people in the transition from military to civilian and from working in the incredible military complex into social, into the private sector, get adequate jobs. And I want to tell you people out there something. You folks that own businesses, you hire a veteran, you hire an NCO, a non-commissioned officer coming out of the service, and you don't have to worry about his management skills. I challenge you to do that. But now I've got this guy, Christopher. This guy has an IQ so high that Moses could not even have climbed to the top of his IQ to get the 10 Commandments. The guy is brilliant. He is absolutely terrific. And you know what is fun? The guy can, here's my deal. I buy a computer. If it works, I keep it. If I can't figure out how to work it, I give it back. I don't know how to do it. Christopher can take just a bunch of components, look them over, and build a powerful computer. He can look at your computer. If your computer's broken or it doesn't work, I thought mine was, and he says, well, tell me The Simpsons. And I said, I hit all the keys, The Symptoms, and it just doesn't come on. He says, okay, there's a little switch at the very top. Are there lights on up there? I said, no. And he says, okay, push that one system. It's got a little circle with like a bar in the middle of it. I said, okay. And I pushed it. It came on and worked fine. So Christopher is the best computer fix-it guy. I would put his skills up against anyone in Las Vegas or the greater area, which includes the Pacific coast to the Atlantic coast. This guy's brilliant, and he can do it all. And you're actually starting a business, aren't you?
I will be very shortly.
Yeah, and it's so cool. And one of the things that Christopher has talked about, because see, once again, I'm not the brightest bulb on the tree, and he's so far above the tree line, it doesn't even matter. So he said what he would be willing to do with funding is bring in somebody that wants to learn the computer, give them an on-the-job position, and while they work side by side with him, they would learn his skills. People, can you just wrap your head around that one? So we take people who need a job, and we give them a job, learning a trade from one of the masters. I think that's incredible. Christopher, you're to be congratulated.
Thank you.
That's it? I give you a 15-minute build-up, and you say, thank you very much, Craig. He sounds like one of the Munchkins on helium, doesn't he? I mean, just, hello. All right. That's what we need, are people in America who are willing to do two things. Prepare people to meet an opportunity and then to prepare opportunities to present to them. See, the government hasn't figured that out. You people out there, come on. What the government's idea is, well, let's just write them a check. That's what we do. No. People with pride, people who have ambition, people who have a mind and character and integrity want to have a job. So we got to find preparation, right, Christopher?
Yep.
I don't know that we're scripted for those long answers. And then after they're prepared, introduce them to an
employment opportunity.
And guess what? All of a sudden, we got a person who is providing for himself or herself and their family. And they don't need the government to say, oh, well, now what are we going to do? We've got this program and you don't need us. That makes us feel really badly. And now we're going to go home to our constituents and think up some other stupid program that drains our country of its money. But not this one. You employers out there, you get yourself a program where you can bring veterans, graduating high school students or high school students looking for something to do, and you teach them how to sell cars. You teach them how to build computers. You teach them how to program. You teach them how to do all this stuff, and then you put them to work. Oh, my goodness. That is a flash of brilliance, isn't it? Once again, Urban Meyer, thank you so much for that beautiful thought that luck is the meeting of preparation with opportunity. Luck is the meeting of preparation with opportunity. And it doesn't matter what else you do, folks out there. And I'm speaking to the government, though the government doesn't listen to anybody of any real value. That's how you create jobs in America, and that's how you put America back on its economic feet, and you create economic and financial stability. Wow, there's a word that the government doesn't like to hear us use, because they can only get elected if they're giving you something. No. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for people, businesses, who will prepare people for a face-to-face meeting with opportunity. I promise you. You do that, and you will create the greatest right and the enjoyment of the greatest right that we have in this country. And, Christopher, what is the greatest right we have?
Our right to happiness.
Bingo. That's what the Constitution's all about. That's what our land is all about. That's what the country is all about, is so that we might pursue and enjoy happiness. Thomas Jefferson didn't say that. He said pursue happiness, the pursuit of happiness. What he really meant was the pursuit and enjoyment of happiness, because you can pursue happiness and never find it, and then you'll never be happy, and you'll walk around bumping into brick walls. The greatest right that the heavens have given us is the right to pursue, find, and enjoy happiness. And can you folks see how if we prepare people to meet an opportunity face to face, or as the French say it, I don't know why they even invented the French, but anyway, the French say vis-a-vis. Vis-a-vis. French vis-a-vis means face to face. We get in that mindset, hey, we'll solve all the problems this country has. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Wow. I hardly get a word in edgewise. If you folks know that, whenever Christopher's here, I hardly, get a word in edgewise.
I really need to, calm it down. These long answers are just too much.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're running close to the end. This hour goes so very fast. We only got about 10 minutes left. And I want to tell you that I absolutely believe with all my heart and soul that everybody out there, all y'all, doesn't matter where you are today, I think today everybody needs a new opportunity. Well, I'm not saying you need a new career or a new job. Maybe you do. But everybody needs a new opportunity to enjoy happiness. And that enjoyment might come from an opportunity with new friends. Whatever. By the way, we've got a caller. Thank you, caller. Go ahead.
I so appreciate your attitude about this. I heard a vet talking about something I never thought of. He said that when he came home from the service, he didn't even know what to wear because he was used to a uniform.
Yeah.
But here's my question.
Sure.
I honestly, from my perspective, I don't see that there's any jobs available. You mentioned cars and computers, but really the way our market is designed, these cars and computers are not designed to be worked on. They're designed to be sold and thrown away.
Well, and you're right. I was using those sort of hypothetically.
Well, me too. But if you start thinking about it, what's left?
Well, you're right. And I gave the disclaimer earlier that I'm not the brightest bulb on the tree.
Me neither. I don't want to have to figure this out. I'm glad I'm just living on the edge of nowhere.
Let me tell you what I had in mind.
Okay.
The other day I was cutting my daughter an apple. She likes to have me quarter and then quarter her apples again. She likes to eat the slices.
Thank you, Daddy.
I'm that kind of guy.
I love you.
And she said, Dad, you can count the seeds in the apple, but you can never count the apples in a seed.
Oh, God, I love her. Isn't that amazing how life works?
She gets all of her intelligence from her mom. But here was my idea. There are opportunities galore, just like the apples in a seed.
Okay.
And we sometimes, I think of Mary Kay Ash, who started at the age of 47 dissatisfied with what she was doing. She knew something. She was prepared for the cosmetic industry, and she knew a little bit about marketing because she was a sales clerk in a makeup store. She put together and developed Mary Kay.
Well,
and all those. I mean,
they've changed our market, though. See, it used to be face-to-face. It used to be,
Yeah.
I mean, all of this virtual stuff has to stop. Well, oh, no, wait, I'm not in charge. We have to keep thinking, but you're, there was a guy on the radio for the first time the other day. He was a security, like a world-renowned teaching people security situations, and that was too scary. Let's see, what do we need? I could use some servants, that's for sure,
the one thing, and you make such a great point, my dear. The point that you've made is that there are some things that are handled now in a different marketing way because of the internet and that sort of thing. But you know what? There are still services available, and most of the entrepreneurial experiences in the United States are service-oriented. And so there are things that... Now, Christopher, it's in his best interest to work on the internet because he and Al Gore probably invented it. But anyway,
but yes, it takes a director to teach the others, and there's many of us like me. I am a great assistant. I don't want to be in charge of anything because I'm really flaky, but I'm really good at taking direction. And when I have ideas, I know that if I could wave my magic wand, I'd have things constructed. I'm going to say we need some more. Well, they're building so much. It's tricky. But when I wave my magic wand and say I would like this or that to be done, it's going to stay in my imagination until I can coordinate and collaborate.
You've hit so many points, we could do a whole show on it. Thank you so much for calling, honey. I hope you have a good night. Thank you so very, very much. I think she made some great and very salient points, and we're glad to have you on the air. I'm running kind of close to the end, I was going to tell her I'm an assistant. I'll never be in charge of anything because I'm married. And you understand that when you say the words I do, what you really mean is I'm done. And from then on, life goes on the way it is planned for you. Hey, Denise, thank you so much for being with us tonight and doing all of the wonderful things you do. Christopher, it's good to have you here. I wish you the very best with your new business.
It's great to be here.
But when you have your new business, please don't forget where the bread and butter comes from. To all of you folks out there, understand that America is the greatest country on the face of the earth, has been, is, and will be, because we've got the greatest people. We've got the people with the brains that makes the world go around. God bless you all, and we'll see you next Sunday at 7 o'clock on The Craig Levitt Show.